So welcome. It's wonderful to see all of you here, and I'm very, very honored that you gave me this special first spot and to be actually the first one to speak. So I need to make sure that this is lively and worth your coming in so early. So I appreciate those who made it, because I know that it's hard to come at 9 o'clock anywhere in Paris. So that's why I stayed next door myself. So I'm very, very happy to be here today because it's a very special edition of this Paris Cyber Summit that brings us all together in this special city at a special time for it. I call it a special edition not only because it's been 5 years since Sébastien and his amazing colleagues started this fantastic effort in Paris. And it has gathered us for 5 years and allowed us to exchange views and discuss important things and, in fact, shape the policy of cybersecurity. But most of all, it's special because we are here today on the eve of the 80th anniversary of D-Day, which is on the 6th of June, as you all know. And I think that in the turbulent times that we are all going through with war near the borders of the EU, unprecedented times, frankly. And with Sebastian's very good idea to bring together this EU-US special edition and to discuss something that is a challenge for us like AI, we are reminded of the importance of working together, of how like-minded partners made it through to peace in a time that nobody could have ever believed that this was possible. It is important to remember this event, D-Day. I think we should all honor it in our shared history because it helped us forge solidarity. And it was the solidarity that created the EU itself and that still unites our peoples on both sides of the Atlantic. And it is especially relevant in cyberspace today. More than ever, geopolitics have made their way into cyberspace. And I think recent aggressions and wars have made that all the more visible. Cyber attacks are almost systematically used in modern conflicts as an extremely effective weapon to disrupt critical infrastructure and paralyze the functioning of society. And they are also used against those who publicly express their support. Many EU member states that have shown solidarity and support for Ukraine, for instance, have seen their democratic institutions targeted by cyber attacks. For instance, there are malicious cyber campaigns conducted recently against Germany or the Czech Republic, which the EU and its partners have strongly condemned last May. In addition to the wars in our eastern and southern neighborhoods, we are particularly vigilant about the risk of cyber attacks in the context of major events, for instance. In a few days, here in Europe, we will have massive elections. They're the biggest elections in terms of participating number of people, I think after India, or parallel to India, in the world. In a few months, you will have elections in the United States. The Paris Olympic Games that are coming in a few weeks in town, and the UEFA Euro 2024. So major events that are threatened, we hear that. And of course, this idea of the threats, as we have seen, is multiplied also by fake news and exploited by malicious actors. In this increasingly complex context, artificial intelligence will indeed be a game changer, as you say in your title, for cybersecurity. First of all, in terms of new threats. With new technologies come new vulnerabilities. We can easily expect cyber criminals to use AI for security vulnerabilities in systems and data sets and models in order to steal data or manipulate content. They may also launch AI poisoning attacks to manipulate the behavior of artificial intelligence systems. We can also foresee cyber criminals leveraging generative AI to conduct more targeted and effective social engineering attacks. In today's society, one of the greatest risks posed by AI is most probably the use for disinformation purposes. We see an unprecedented multiplication of fake news campaigns thanks to the use of AI tools, because it's so much easier to generate false articles, fake tweets in different languages, and most scaringly, I would say, deepfakes. Deepfakes are now penetrating our society, and the European Commission We are often challenged by deepfake campaigns, and I know that big organizations have been the subject and victims of deepfake campaigns and disinformation incidents. We have also recently seen reports, I think it was also mentioned in the French press in the last couple of days, about an intensification of disinformation campaigns in the run-up to the Paris Olympics. Scare articles, influence groups that have allegedly been using AI tools to create false articles and videos about heightened security threats during the games, to create fear and mistrust, and discourage people from attending the games. This is why we have decided in Europe to lay down the rules of the game right from the start with the Artificial Intelligence Act. And dare I say something here, a lot of us, from my institution, like to pride, we're the first in the world to have created AI rules. Frankly, it is not about who did it first. It's just that somebody had to start. So the AI Act we have established is all about just a clear framework based on our European values and laws to ensure that European citizens and businesses can use AI tools that are safe and secure, and that they will know when they're seeing any content generated by AI. It is all about transparency, so as also to create trust to AI systems. The Artificial Intelligence Act places the responsibility to tackle these risks on the providers of AI models, in addition to transparency obligations, that they will also need to assess and mitigate systemic risks, including risks of disinformation, through measures such as model evaluations and adversarial testing. So for the first time, we will have a pre-check of all AI tools for areas like disinformation or other systemic risks, and therefore, through the transparency obligations, a deep knowledge and an understanding of everyone using these systems that AI has been used. The AI Act will also ban some unacceptable AI practices, such as AI-enabled subliminal and other manipulative techniques, distorting people's behavior in a significantly harmful way, as well as biometric categorization systems that infer the political opinions of people based on their biometric data, something that I think was absolutely necessary given the wide use of biometric data by all citizens today, even through their mobile devices. In that sense, the AI Act will complement what we have been doing in the past years to shield our society against cyber risks, from critical infrastructure protection with the NIS2 directive to the resilience of connected products with the Cyber Resilience Act, another game changer, if I may say so, for cybersecurity. We have truly come full circle in cybersecurity in the past 5 years, so since the Cyber Summit was created. But this new set of rules will only be effective if implementation follows and within the deadlines we have set. Yesterday, some of us were together at a dinner, and everybody was asking me, how do you think the landscape will change in the next 5 years? What will happen? Because we will have change of leadership and change of winds, possibly, both in Europe and in the US. And my answer is that what we have to do together is to maintain our course and our direction. And I don't think anyone will want to change that, because nobody will want to change the security of our society. Imagine in 5 years' time, thanks to EU legislation, the wealth of information we will have from the reporting from critical operators of cyber incidents, thanks to the NIS directive. This is not just about creating the reporting obligation, but it will teach us a lot about how malicious actors operate, and it will help us shield our systems, especially public authorities that are finding it hard to do so, also because they're understaffed in the area of cybersecurity. Imagine the secure by design society we will have. Every product that circulates in the EU market, and why not also in the US, because you're also through NIST creating this culture, will have been pre-approved for security, for connected security. Imagine how we will have more professionals thanks to the European Academy for Cybersecurity Skills that is already creating a wave of people of interest to our youth, more women in the area. And imagine how we will have certified professionals, both from the public and private sector, in the reserve list, in the EU reserve list, that will be able to be called upon, thanks to the Cyber Solidarity Act, to help in the case of cyber incidents. We will be somewhere else in 5 years' time. So prepare another summit for that purpose, Sebastian, I'll be happy to join and listen to what has happened. And we see that it is all about implementation. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, European ministers adopted Council conclusions under the Belgian presidency on the future of cybersecurity. And the key words were implement and protect. One decisive factor will be having the necessarily skilled cybersecurity professionals. This is a very, very big challenge. ENISA, the EU Agency for Cybersecurity, recently published its foresight report by 2030 on security threats, and they identified the cyber skill shortage as the top 2 security threat, the number 2 security threat. I'm not mistaken. Artificial intelligence can, of course, help palliate the shortage of cyber professionals because we can use it for certain tasks. And in some of them, it can be very useful, such as scanning or intrusion detection or in law enforcement. However, there will always be a need for the human factor in the equation. We can safely predict that in the years to come, the race for cyber talents will be as crucial as the race for tech innovation. Another important factor for the effective implementation, of course, will be the cooperation with the private sector. For years in the field of cyber and tech regulation, we have been described as fighting each other. There was always tension across the table. It is now very easy to work together. The rules should be seen as simply the rules of the game that we both have to respect. It's not just about the private sector, it's also about the public sector. So the legal framework that we now have in place will, on the contrary, help us work together better because it provides clarity and visibility for everyone. So as we said, clear rules of the game. Finally, the last game changer in the field is the growing convergence of views with our like-minded partners. And it is really, really wonderful that you have managed, Sebastian, to gather so many people also from the other side of the Atlantic to discuss today and tomorrow. So I'm talking in particular about the United States. In recent years, we have significantly strengthened our exchanges and aligned our views on issues such as critical infrastructure protection, cyber incident reporting, and cyber resilience. This dialogue is taking place at all levels, yielding concrete results, such as the EU-US Joint Cyber Safe Products Action Plan, by which we'll try to create similar standards that will apply for approval of secure by design products. When it comes to artificial intelligence, we do not have a very specific framework, but we have regular exchanges on this topic, both within the framework of the EU-US Cyber Dialogue and the EU-US Trade and Technology Council. Dear friends, I'm coming to the end of my intervention, so you can be assured. Artificial intelligence will indeed be a game changer for cybersecurity for everyone who is involved in one way or another in the field. But this time, we will have first set the rules of the game. This is the way we do it in the European way to approach cybersecurity and technology. We started with the GDPR, then with the technology NIS directive legislation, the Cybersecurity Act, the Cyber Resilience Act, and more recently, the Cyber Solidarity Act, but also pieces of legislation like the Digital Services Act. I think we will continue that way, but focusing more on implementation. This is not just about the resilience of our networks and of our critical infrastructure. It is about the resilience of our democracies. It is about peace. Thank you very much, Sebastian.